aldehydes and ketones is that aldehydes are good reducing agents, whereas ketones are not. And there are two tests that we can carry out to justify the statement. One of them is called Benedict's test. And the other one is called Toland's test. So these two tests are tests that we can carry out to show that aldehydes are good reducing agents, whereas ketones are not. And I'm going to go into each one now. Let's start off first with the Benedict's test. Those of you who do biology or A&P, the Benedict's test is a test that we use to prove the presence of a reducing sugar. If I take an aldehyde and for equation purposes, Benedict's reagent is written like this. It's a complex copper 2 salt. It's a deep blue solution. And when you add it to the aldehyde and boil, the aldehyde is oxidized to the acid, but we get an orange-brown precipitate coming out of the solution. And any substance that's a reducing agent, when it reacts with Benedict's reagent, it will always produce this orange-brown precipitate. If we take a ketone with the same reagent and boil, no precipitate is formed. So you see, aldehydes will give a positive test. Ketones won't. The next one is what's called Toland's test. Toland's reagent is a complex silver salt. It's like that. When I add the aldehyde to Toland's reagent, again the aldehyde is oxidized to the acid. We get an ammonium salt form, but we get a beautiful silver mirror formed at the bottom of the test tube. And as a result, Toland's test sometimes is often referred to as the silver mirror test. If I take a ketone and carry out the same reaction, no silver mirror is produced. So the Benedict's test and the Toland's test are two tests that we can clearly use to show that an aldehyde is a good reducing agent, whereas a ketone is not. So therefore, it's also a test which we could use to distinguish between the aldehyde and the ketone, bearing in mind that they don't react the same way. So that's very, very important. So as far as the aldehydes and ketones go, there's two basic reactions: oxidation and reduction. And there are reactions with Benedict's reagent and Toland's reagent. Aldehydes can be oxidized to the acids. Ketones cannot be oxidized. Both aldehydes and ketones can be reduced. The aldehyde goes back to the primary alcohol. The ketone goes back to the secondary alcohol. Aldehydes are excellent reducing agents in organic chemistry. They will give a positive Benedict's test. They will give a positive Toland's test. Ketones will react with none of the two reagents. And that's all you need to know in aldehydes and ketones: to name them, to prepare them, and those simple reactions which I've talked about.